How could a small island nation become the center of the largest empire the world had ever seen? Britain's rise was not the result of one battle or one king. It was a centuries-long story of exploration, trade, warfare, technology, and ambition. In the beginning, British sailors crossed the Atlantic and entered a world dominated by powerful European rivals. Spain, Portugal, France, and the Netherlands were already competing for control of global trade. Britain wanted its own share of this enormous wealth. English merchants established trading companies, ships traveled farther across the oceans, and new ports became connected to British commerce. Among these companies, the East India Company would become one of the most powerful. Founded as a trading organization, it gradually developed its own armies, political influence, and territorial ambitions. In India, British influence expanded through trade, diplomacy, alliances, and military victories. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 became a crucial turning point, giving the East India Company enormous power in Bengal. From there, British control gradually expanded across much of the Indian subcontinent. But Britain's empire depended on more than armies on land. Its greatest advantage was the sea. The Royal Navy protected British merchant ships, defeated rival fleets, and allowed Britain to move soldiers and supplies across thousands of miles. Control of the oceans meant control of the routes connecting Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Then Britain gained another extraordinary advantage: the Industrial Revolution. British factories transformed production with steam engines, machines, railways, and new manufacturing techniques. Britain needed enormous amounts of raw materials such as cotton, sugar, timber, minerals, and other resources. At the same time, British manufacturers needed markets where their goods could be sold. Empire provided access to both. During the 19th century, British influence expanded dramatically. Under Queen Victoria, Britain controlled territories across Africa, Asia, the Middle East, North America, and the Pacific. India became the heart of the empire, while strategic locations such as Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Suez Canal helped Britain control major international trade routes. Railways and telegraph lines connected distant territories, allowing information, goods, and troops to move faster than ever before. But the growth of the empire came with a heavy human cost. Colonial governments imposed taxes, changed local economies, seized land, and often placed British interests above those of local populations. In many regions, traditional industries were disrupted, and resistance was met with military force. Across Africa, the scramble for Africa intensified European competition as Britain and other powers claimed enormous territories. British soldiers and administrators expanded imperial control, while explorers and traders pushed deeper into the continent. By the early 20th century, the British Empire had reached extraordinary dimensions. At its greatest extent, it controlled roughly a quarter of the world's land area and governed hundreds of millions of people. But the empire was already facing new challenges. Nationalist movements were growing across Asia and Africa. In India, leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi inspired millions to demand independence. Then came the First World War and the Second World War. Millions of soldiers from across the empire fought for Britain, while colonies supplied food, materials, money, and strategic support. But the wars left Britain economically exhausted. After 1945, maintaining such a vast empire became increasingly difficult. The world was changing, and anti-colonial movements were becoming impossible to ignore. In 1947, India and Pakistan gained independence, marking a dramatic turning point. Soon, independence spread across Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and the Middle East. One after another, British colonies became independent nations. The empire that had once stretched across the globe was rapidly disappearing. Yet Britain's imperial legacy did not disappear with the empire. English became a global language. British legal traditions influenced many modern nations. Parliamentary institutions, education systems, trade networks, migration patterns, and cultural traditions spread far beyond Britain itself. Cricket, once an English game, became a global sport. Today, the British Empire exists mainly in history books, museums, monuments, and memories. Its legacy remains deeply complicated. It created global connections and left behind institutions and infrastructure, but it also produced exploitation, inequality, violence, and lasting political consequences. Britain's transformation from a small European island into a global empire was one of the most extraordinary developments in human history. Its rise changed the map of the world, and its fall helped create the modern international system we know today. The empire may have disappeared, but the world it helped create is still with us.